नमस्कार दोस्तों। तो कैसे हैं आप सब लोग। दोस्तों, आज हमें एक बेहद ही डायनेमिक, एक हमारे बेहद ही यंग एक कॉलमिस्ट उन्होंने आज ज्वाइन किया है। एंड उन्होंने दुबई में इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट किया था इन बेस्ट डिप्लोमेट कॉन्फ्रेंस 2023। यस, उमर गाजी। ए गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड इवनिंग उमर गाजी, हाउ आर यू?
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. And thank you, Pushpkar, for having me. It's really a pleasure and an honor. And I was really looking forward to it for a long time. So thank you again for having me here.
My pleasure. It's all my pleasure. So, Omar, I have read your article. You recently written one article regarding the Ram Mandir. Why should we celebrate this Ram Mandir? And being from a non-Hindu community, how do you see what kind of conspiracy being factored all about this Ram Mandir temple, a left wing versus right wing? What's your opinion on this?
I think the issue is really simple. It has been made complicated by several जिनको हम हिंदी में बुद्धिजीवी कहते हैं, several
Mm-hmm.
intellectuals, so called. They have made it complicated, but I think the issue is really simple. When it comes to Ram Mandir, it is not only, of course, it is very important for the Hindu faith, for Hindu religion. It is the most central figure of Lord Ram. And of course, there is no doubt about it that that place is the birthplace of Lord Ram,
Mm-hmm.
as it has been mentioned in all the scriptures for last thousands of years. So उस पे कोई debate नहीं हो सकती मेरे हिसाब से. Also, apart from being very important for the Hindu faith, the Ram Mandir is also a central figure, a central building for a cultural aspect as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for every Muslim or Hindu or Sikh or Christian who has Indian DNA, who has been living within the Indian boundaries, it marks a cultural significance for them also. And we
Mm-hmm.
also know that people, when India has been invaded many times from outside, and when you invade a country, when you invade a civilization, you want to destroy a lot of their cultural symbols also, because it creates a psychological impact on that people, that we have established dominance over you. So that was the reason that these buildings were desecrated, they were demolished, and over that certain structures were built. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we
Okay.
are, as a country, as a nation, as a people, as indigenous people, we have now risen back when it comes to these structures. So I think that is why everyone should. It is not about right wing or left wing or Hindu or Muslim. I wrote in that article that it should be celebrated by everyone, irrespective of faith and politics. So that is
हम्म।
my take on that.
ओके। और जैसा भी आपने उमर बोला कि वी हैव राइजन नाउ और इंडियंस आर अवेक नाउ, तो क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि आर वी अवेक्ड और आर वी बिकमिंग मोर एग्रेसिव? चाहे हमारा मतलब नेशनलिज्म हो या अल्ट्रा नेशनलिज्म हो या किसी भी चीज को देखने का एक नजरिया, परसेप्शन, तो आपको नहीं लगता कि एग्रेसिव ज्यादा है रादर देन वी हैव राइजन और वी आर अवेक नाउ more than what we used to be in previous decades or 20 years back?
That's a very good question, and I think the answer to that is that we should see whether the awakening is contributing to nation building or not. एक ही उसका जो मापदंड है, उसका जो हमारे पास स्केल है, वो ये है कि हमारी जो अवेकनिंग है, क्या वो हमारे नेशन बिल्डिंग में हेल्प कर रही है या नहीं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, when it comes to Ram Mandir, I believe it is contributing to nation building because all the people who live in this country, वो उसको अपना एक नेशनल धरोहर की तरह देखते हैं और देखना चाहते हैं या देखना चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
दैट इज वन थिंग. बट वेन वी ट्राई टू स्ट्रेच इट, जब हम इस चीज को स्ट्रेच करते हैं टू ऑल ओवर द कंट्री, टू हंड्रेड्स एंड थाउजेंड्स एंड 40,000 30,000 प्लेसेस, तो उसको फिर मैं कहूंगा अग्रेसिव होना. उसको मैं कहूंगा कि अब वो चीज नेशन बिल्डिंग के अगेंस्ट जा रही है. बिकॉज when it comes to because everything has a certain balance, everything
Mm-hmm.
has a certain level of sanity. And when we try to cross certain limits, then वहां से सोसाइटी में रिफ्ट आने शुरू होते हैं. एंड आपको और हमें पता है, ऑफ कोर्स यू लिव इन द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, हम भी न्यूज पढ़ते रहते हैं, that there are many forces all over the world who are trying to break open these rifts in India. चाहे वो
हम्म.
रिफ्ट्स कम्युनल लेवल पे हो, लिंग्विस्टिक लेवल पे हो, रिलीजियस लेवल पे हो. देर आर फ्रॉम चाइना टू द वेस्ट टू द मिडिल ईस्ट टू रशिया. एवरीवेयर देर आर पीपल who try to break open. तो अगर हम उन रिफ्ट्स को और वाइडन करेंगे, so that will help only those forces, nobody else. So we have to be very careful
हम्म.
that we अवेकनिंग हमारी होनी चाहिए, हमारी इंडिजिनस अवेकनिंग, हमारी इंडिक सिविलाइजेशनल ईथॉस जो है, दैट आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फिलोसफी के लेवल पे,
ओके.
साइंस के लेवल पे, स्पिरिचुअलिटी के लेवल पे, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. But that should not
तो
contribute to the rifts within the Indian society. That is my take.
हम्म. या सो उमर, जैसा भी आपने हमारा इंडियन एशियंट के बारे में बताया और स्पिरिचुअलिटी के बारे में हमने डिस्कस किया है, तो डू यू बिलीव दैट देयर इज अ पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्फ्लुएंस बिटवीन एंशियंट Indian wisdoms and between modern science? Is there any kind of connect, or how you perceive, how what's your opinion on this?
Absolutely. And I think this is something that is not discovered much, not discussed enough. And that is a kind of awakening that I would like to see personally. Because there is a lot of wisdom, lot of treasures of modernity that are hidden in our ancient Indian texts. And a lot of young people, people of your age, people of my age, they are not aware of what is there. For example, I'll just give you a very good example.
Mm-hmm.
Our Indic texts, they talk about. I have written a book called The Cosmic Dance. Now, what the
Mm-hmm.
cosmic dance is, that the Lord Shiva engages in a tandav. That dance is called the dance of creation and destruction. It just creates something and it on its own, and it destroys something on its own. So there is a constant creation and destruction that is happening, and that is symbolized by Lord Shiva. Now, when we look at the subatomic particles, we see that there is a constant creation and destruction of subatomic particles happening constantly, which is not observable in our daily life at macro level. We don't know about it, but we are looking at it at that level. We see that constant creation and destruction happening. Another thing, we see that there is our ancient scriptures talk about spandakarikas, which
Mm-hmm.
means the divine vibration of creation, which means that all the matter is just energy and vibrations,
True.
all that creation. So how did these people thousands of years ago know about it, whoever has written it? It's quite futuristic in its sense, because today we know about the string theory in physics. We see that, or they say that all the energy, all the matter is just energy at different vibrational levels, right? So, and it's not just something that I have discovered, or something that
Mm-hmm.
anybody has said. It is when you look at the CERN facility in Geneva, where these scientists are experimenting on subatomic particles, there is a very large portrait of Lord Shiva in the Nataraj pose, and it is quite huge in that facility where they do experiments on these things. So why did they put that statue there?
Mm-hmm.
It means they understood that there is some point of confluence in ancient Indic wisdom and modern science, and but we are not discovering it. Indians are not discovering it. We
Mm-hmm.
are only chanting the stotrams. We are only chanting, which is also good. I'm not against chanting the mantras, but we should also understand the hidden meanings behind them. So Western people are doing it. So I would
बिल्कुल.
like to see it happening in India also. Yeah.
बिल्कुल। सो उमर, आपकी बुक जो आपने अभी अपनी बुक के बारे में बताया है, इज इट अवेलेबल ऑन अमेजोन और समवेयर एल्स?
Yes, it is available on Amazon. It is available in Flipkart also.
ठीक है।
And
आप लिंक
yeah,
लिंक दीजिएगा, हम डेफिनेटली चाहेंगे कि हमारे जो व्यूअर्स हैं उस बुक को अवश्य पढ़ें। और
thank you
नेक्स्ट
so much.
कन्वर्सेशन में हम चलते हैं उमर। इंडिया एक सॉफ्ट पावर के बारे में जाना जाता है, और हमेशा से ये कहा जाता है कि इंडिया इज लाइक ए सॉफ्ट पावर इन टर्म्स ऑफ हिज डिप्लोमेसी, इन टर्म्स ऑफ बॉलीवुड। आपको क्या लगता है कि इंडिया अपना फुल यूटिलाइजेशन कर पा रहा है सॉफ्ट पावर का, या कहीं ना कहीं अभी भी कहीं हम लैग कर रहे हैं, या पूरा फुल थ्रोटल पे, फिफ्थ गियर पे हमारी डिप्लोमेसी या मिडिल ईस्ट में दिखाई देखी जा सकती है? बट ओवरऑल, वेयर आर वी स्टैंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर? आर वी गुड, और डू यू स्टिल सी देयर इज ए स्कोप ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट इन आवर सॉफ्ट पावर?
I think there is always a scope of improvement. For example, when you said that, of course, Middle East में हमारी जो soft power है, that is increasing, and that is actually, I think, at its one of the peak levels in last 30-40 years. I think India has a lot to offer to the rest of the world. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. For example, I think the number one thing is, of course, the yogic practices. मेरे हिसाब से the yoga, the way it has influenced the world for centuries and millennia, I think that is unparalleled. एंड अभी हमने इंटरनेशनल योगा डे भी शुरू किया, आई थिंक 4-5 साल पहले. आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट द एग्जैक्ट ईयर, बट अभी आई थिंक 4-5 years ago वी स्टार्टेड दैट. दैट वाज अ वेरी गुड थिंग. एंड उसको और ज्यादा प्रमोट करने की जरूरत है. That is number one. I think the Ayurvedic medicines, I think they are quite big all over the world, especially in Russia and in the West also. Uh, I'm not sure about the Middle East, but I think they are quite big in the West. So of course we are working on that. Apart from that, there is of course the Bollywood, the movie industry, the music industry. That is also quite huge, and I have seen quite weird confluences. For example, Japan may Rajnikant is quite famous. For example, so that is a very interesting feature. Why that is, that is the case. Or there are certain TV series. For example, Balika Vadhu. I got to know. I was doing a research in my think tank where I work. We found out that Balika Vadhu is very famous in Thailand and Vietnam,
Oh,
and we were
okay.
surprised that why is that serial being so popular, because it is so popular that they invited Avika Gaur, who was the lead actor, and they gave her some award or something in Vietnam. So
Cool.
we Indians don't know about it, but they are watching it like crazy. Even I don't watch that TV show. Maybe you don't also, but it's quite famous there. So even we are not aware how much influence India exerts on all over the world. Now that is of course in Middle East also. Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, they are quite big in West also, and I think there is a lot more to improve as well. One good example is that when it comes to, for example, Qatar, the case of Qatar happened recently. Our 7 or 8 Navy personnel were arrested. They were on death sentence. And it was a huge diplomatic win that first it was reduced from life to from death sentence to life imprisonment, and now I think they have been released also. So that was a huge diplomatic win. These are the things that shows what are the reasons behind it, we don't know. But of course, it has to do something with the soft power of a country. And I would just also add that a lot of people think that soft power has to translate into hard power, otherwise, soft power doesn't matter. A lot of philosophers have also contended that. But I believe, and this is something that our Indian politician Shashi Tharoor has also written about, that soft power in itself is a very solid concept. If a country likes your country, for example, the people from Dubai, people from England, they like India, for example, they will come for tourism, they will come for this, they will come for that, they will increase trade. So it is a very solid concept in itself. So I think India has a lot to improve its soft power when it comes to, I think, maybe China, for example. I don't know. Because, of course, there is a lot of problem on the border with China. So if we exert a lot more soft power in the South Asia, because China is trying to exert its influence on all over South Asia and in the South China Sea. So if we have very good relations with Vietnam, with Thailand, with Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, in that Act East policy, we can build a lot more pressure on China. So I think
हम्म.
that is where we can build that.
ओके. सो उमर, जैसे हमने बात करी, वी हैव टॉक अबाउट राम मंदिर, इंडियन एंशियंट्स का कितना हमारा इम्पैक्ट है, कितना अनटैप चीजें हैं अभी, योगिक और योगा की हमने बात करी, और आपने सॉफ्ट पावर के लिए बारे में बात करी. लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं आपको उम्र ये नहीं लगता कि हमारे कंट्री में, नेशन में हार्मनी कहीं ना कहीं, डिस्पैरिटी बहुत बढ़ती जा रही है, इतनी हार्मनी नहीं है, या कहीं ना कहीं क्लैशेस नजर आ रहे हैं, हर एक का अपना एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है. वी ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, हर एक का अपना व्यू है और हमारा संविधान इसकी इजाजत भी देता है, हर एक को अपनी बात करने का ढंग है. लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं एक माहौल में भी इंटरफेरेंस बाहर से होता है, या लोगों को सोशल साइट्स पे चीजें को डेपिसिट किया जाता है, फैब्रिकेट किया जाता है स्टेटमेंट्स को. तो आपको क्या लगता है, कि आपके ओपिनियन क्या है, कि हम कैसे अपने कंट्री में एक गंगा जमुनी की तहजीब, जहां हम साथ में रहें, नेशन की तरक्की के लिए हम बात करें, क्या आपके ओपिनियन है? और कहा जाए तो आपके क्या ऐसे पॉइंट सजेस्ट करेंगे, 3 या 4 पॉइंट जो कि होना चाहिए?
Yes, the Indian society is going through a challenging phase. There is no denying the fact. रही बात, फॉर एग्जाम्पल कम्युनल हार्मोनी की आपने बात की. कम्युनल रिफ्ट्स आर हैपनिंग, एंड कम्युनल रिफ्ट्स ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले नहीं थे. There is a narrative that has been propagated, and especially by the left, that बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस हम सब बिल्कुल मिलजुल के भाईचारे से बहुत प्यार मोहब्बत से रहते थे, और अंग्रेजों ने आके थोड़ी लड़ाई करवा दी हमारी. उसके बाद भी आज़ादी के बाद हम और ज़्यादा प्यार मोहब्बत से रहते थे, और 2014 के बाद से हमारी जो है लड़ाई और ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है. ठीक है, एक नैरेटिव ये है. Yes, after 2014, yes, things have changed. That is also a fact. बट ऐसा नहीं है कि उससे पहले कोई कम्युनल रिफ्ट नहीं थी, या हमेशा से बहुत वी हैड अ वेरी कम्युनल हार्मोनी सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. तो वी हैव टू accept that the problems have existed for centuries,
हम्म.
but now they have come out in a very different form. Why? The reason lies that when partition happened, the independence was granted to India, and a lot of people from the Muslim community, they decided that we want a separate nation, and they left. Right now, India adopted a modern republic, a democratic republic, and Pakistan adopted a theocracy. इंडियन सोसाइटी के अंदर जो प्रॉब्लम्स रही वो ये रही, दैट जो एक कॉन्वर्जेशन होना चाहिए था, एक ऑनेस्ट कॉन्वर्जेशन बिटवीन हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स, दैट नेवर हैपेंड. वो कॉन्वर्जेशन कभी हुआ ही नहीं. आजादी के बाद ये प्रिटेंड कर दिया गया कि हमारे बीच में कभी कोई प्रॉब्लम्स थी ही नहीं. जो भी मुस्लिम रूलर्स ने किया उसको हिस्ट्री बुक्स ने डिस्कस नहीं किया. दैट वाज नेवर डिस्कस्ड. एंड एक बहुत ही हंकी डोरी वो विजन पेश किया गया. तो हिंदू कम्युनिटी के अंदर वो जो एक चीज थी वो अंदर दबी रह गई, कि हमने कभी इस बात को एक्सप्रेस ही नहीं किया कि हमारे साथ क्या क्या चीजें हो रही थी. ठीक है. एंड इवन मुस्लिम्स ऑफ दैट टाइम, ड्यूरिंग द औरंगजेब्स रूल, ड्यूरिंग द बाबर्स रूल, इवन मुस्लिम्स हैड सफर्ड, बिकॉज दीज some of the Mughal emperors were extremist radicals. We had examples like Dara Shikoh and Akbar also, but some of them were very radical. So both Hindus and Muslims had suffered at the hands of them, and Hindus more. तो अभी जो प्रॉब्लम आ रही है वो ये आ रही है, दैट वो जो दबी हुई चीजें थी विद इन द हिंदू कम्युनिटी, विच वॉज नेवर डिस्कस्ड विद द मुस्लिम्स, दे आर कमिंग आउट in different ways, in problematic ways. वो वो कभी गुस्से की शक्ल में बाहर आ रही हैं, दे आर कमिंग आउट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ intolerance, they are coming out in the form of they have certain slogans, they have certain narrative about the country. तो वो conversation नहीं हो पा रहा है. So I think the only way forward is for an honest conversation to happen between Hindus and Muslims as a community.
या सो दैट इज रियली गुड टू नो उमेर। एंड सबसे बेस्ट मुझे जो चीज आपकी लगी है कि आप ना ही प्रो हिंदू हैं और ना ही आप एंटी मुस्लिम हैं। आपने अपना पक्ष, अपनी ओपिनियन बिल्कुल न्यूट्रल तरीके से रखी है, फैक्ट्स और फिगर्स पे रखी है। और मैं बिल्कुल यही एक्सपेक्ट करता हूं कि हमारे जो आज का हमारे कंट्री का यूथ है, अगर वो ऐसे ही चीजों को परसीव करे, ऐसे ही चीजों को देखे, बजाय किसी के व्हाट्सएप ज्ञान में आकर या किसी के बहकाए में, इन्फ्लुएंस में आकर जो फैक्ट फिगर पे उस पर बात करे। तो बिल्कुल आपने सही कहा कि हम एक हारमोनी अपने कंट्रीज में ला सकते हैं और बिल्कुल गंगा जमुनी तहजीब को हम कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं। सो उमर, आप मेरे शो में आए, वेरी मच।
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a really amazing conversation, and I think these are the kind of conversations we need as a society. And like I said, the kind of harmony can only build on conversation, on dialogue, on discussion. So that is what I have been trying to portray through my whatever little capacity I have. So thank you so much again for having me, and I hope the youth of our country can understand the importance of having a balanced and neutral mindset as much as possible. Whether you come
बिल्कुल।
from Hindu family or a Muslim family or a Sikh or Christian family, it doesn't matter. I think the nation building should be the prime focus. So that is what my message is to the youth of the country. And thank you again for having me.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।